You're watching Toyota Sports Extra.
Well, happy Friday the 13th to you guys out there. Maybe there was a black cat running around Indiana's gym in that fourth quarter there. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with us after the game. As always, we appreciate your company. Welcome to a special edition of Toyota Sports Extra. I am Kevin John.
And I'm Matt George. You know those Friday the 13th horror movies when the murderer
Michael Myers
comes back from the dead, right? Like, that's what we saw from the Oklahoma City Thunder, the revitalization, the revival of their title chances in that fourth quarter.
They definitely did. They came back from the dead doing the Thriller dance because they were getting busy. Shai, Chet, all of them were getting busy. Enough of us talking about it. Let's show you how it all went down. You just got finished watching this game right here. Let's get you out to Indianapolis. Game 4 of the NBA Finals. The Pacers hoping to go up 3-1 in the series. Spoiler alert, that wouldn't happen. Why? Because of that man right there, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the Oklahoma City Thunder hoping to even the series before heading back to OKC. And early on, it was actually Indiana who came out hotter than a crock pot. The Pacers started the game going 9 of 12 from the floor. I think that's 75%, which is pretty good. They set the tone. Pacers led by as many as 8 in the first quarter. Pascal Siakam filling it. The Eastern Conference Finals MVP had 10 points in the first quarter alone. Now, OKC will claw back in this in the second quarter, and that's when things got a bit heated. Check this out. Off the steal, Alex Caruso going coast to coast. Obi Toppin says, not today, playa. Toppin provides the hard foul. We got some pushing and shoving going on between both teams. Isaiah Hartenstein instantly goes to the defense of his teammate, and I ain't mad at that. Look at that one more time. Now, Toppin would be assessed a flagrant foul. Indiana led by 3 at halftime, and this one would go back and forth down the stretch to the fourth quarter now. And this is when both respective superstars started balling out. Right here you see Tyrese Haliburton cutting to the hoop, getting it high off the glass right there. He had 18 points and 7 assists on the night. But we talked about him earlier, that man, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Take a bow, young man. Shai had 15 points in the fourth quarter alone. Game high 35 points. Yeah, that's what an MVP can do for you. The Thunder were going a 9-0 run late in the fourth quarter and would end up taking this game. OKC outscored Indiana 31-17 in the fourth. We saw how it ended, and OKC come back, shock the Pacers, win this game. So now they head back to Oklahoma City with an even series at 2 games apiece. But MVPs doing MVP things, and that's what you like to see. And welcoming to the set, we got our own MVP here. Yes, indeed. You know this man. You hear him and see him before Kings games. You hear him and see him after Kings games. And now you'll hear him and see him in the studio with us. Gives me great pleasure to introduce you guys, even though he needs no introduction, the high flyer, Henry Turner. Thank you so much for being there.
Oh, man, thanks, man. Hell of a game. Hell of a game. You know, Indiana just missed their knockout punch.
And, you know, it's interesting that you say that because this almost had kind of like a Game 7 feel because you're going into this thinking whoever wins this game totally takes the momentum and control of the series. If you're Indiana, you go up 3-1. If you're OKC, like you said, you get that knockout punch. You get to go back home with the series tied at 2 games apiece.
Well, Indiana had it. You know, they were up 2-1, playing another game in Indiana. If they could have got this thing to 3-1, I don't care what goes on in OKC. You got to come back to Indiana. This was their knockout punch. They let this thing slip between their fingers.
Yeah, I imagine the Pacers are feeling the same way tonight that OKC probably felt after Game 1 and the collapse and the Tyrese Haliburton game winner. But it's now a best-of-3 series with the home court advantage going to the number 1 seed OKC Thunder. And on a night like tonight, it pays every night, but especially tonight in that fourth quarter, Henry, it pays to have the MVP in SGA.
I mean, this guy is just so smooth, man. I mean, he is smooth as velvet pillows. This guy gets it off. I mean, he very rarely sweats out there, fellas. He gets it done inside and out. He can hit the 3 ball. He can get to the basket, and he's deadly from the free throw line. And once again, guess what? You can't touch the guy. Once you touch him, he goes to the free throw line, and he's shooting it from a very high clip.
Even when you're the title favorite, right, you need to be put to the test. And I felt this was OKC's test. If you're going to win a title, this is maybe the biggest blow that you have to overcome. I'm not saying it's going to be smooth sailing from here on out, because we know the Pacers are going to fight every single second that the series it plays out for the remainder of this. But if you're like analyzing this from 10,000 feet, is this if you're talking about like a Mike Tyson type montage, is this the blow that you eat and you fight back from, and then you ultimately hoist the belt at the end?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're giving boxing puns, but this is like the Rumble in the Jungle, the Thriller in Manila. These guys are going blow for blow, and OKC did exactly what they needed to do to get the momentum on their side. They're even right now. It's 2-2, and they're going back to OKC. So OKC is feeling good, because if they wouldn't have got this game here tonight, it's going to be bleak going to OKC.
And, it's interesting that you say that, because OKC had to hear a lot of that flack after Game 3. You're down 2-1 in the series. You're the number 1 seed in the West. You've been dominant on both sides of the ball this year throughout the NBA. But these Indiana Pacers, and Henry, I remember we were talking about this earlier, just how hungry these Pacers have been. This whole playoff experience for them has just been incredible. You take down the top seed in the Cleveland Cavaliers,
right.
You take down the Milwaukee Bucks, then you take down the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Granted, in a very hostile Madison Square Garden environment, it's like these Pacers just have no quit in them. So even though you're Indiana or OKC and you're like, we're tied at 2 games apiece, you can't take your foot off the gas against Indiana.
No, you can't be. OKC is definitely the darlings of the NBA. They want Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP, to be the face of the league. All of that's going down. But I'll tell you what, it's all about the will to win. I honestly think OKC is the better team. But when it comes down to straight will to win, guys who want it more, I lean towards Indiana. They go out, they play hard, they play scrappy. They got a very good leader in Tyrese Haliburton, and he gets everybody else involved. Have you noticed? Nobody stands still in Indiana's offense. It's drive, kick, move, pick, repick. Everybody is involved.
And this was the first night that I felt we really saw the impact of Pascal Siakam, right? He's got the NBA Finals experience from his time in Toronto as a former NBA champion. And I felt Pascal Siakam set the tone in this game. But how do you balance the feeling you wasted the big performance in Indiana versus, oh no, Pascal's here, he's arrived, we're going to need his veteran presence if we're going to win at least one more game in OKC?
Well, I'm telling you right now, everybody in that Indiana locker room, including the coach, understands the magnitude of dropping this game. They had it in their hands. Once you go 3-1, the odds are big time in your favor to win an NBA championship, and they had this game all the way through. I'm telling you right now, OKC is sitting in the locker room going, okay, fellas, we're right back.
Yeah, huge sigh of relief. And, at the end of the day, they showed up when you're supposed to show up. Shai showed up when he needed to show up in the fourth quarter. 15 points in the fourth quarter, which was almost half of the points that he had in tonight's game. So you're just really seeing great teams close out, great players close out, and that's what OKC was able to do in shocking the Pacers tonight.
They had to. It was no other way. They had to get this game. We're seeing the cream of the crop come to the rise. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you watch this guy. He don't say anything out there on the floor. He don't talk trash. He just gets the job done. And Indiana knows what type of guy he is, because they're throwing everything plus the kitchen sink at Shai.
Let me ask you this real quick before we wrap up, HT. I know he lost tonight, but you've watched every step of Tyrese Haliburton's career, right? You were there in the building when Tyrese was drafted to Sacramento. From that young man to what he's doing right now on the NBA final stage, how that man has blossomed. Can you just speak to his evolution?
We've seen this as a beginning in Sacramento. We knew Tyrese was very special. Tyrese is the type of point guard to where he's a pass-first guard. He's able to score. He's going to get you 15 to 20 points. But what happens is that he gets Nembhard an extra 5. He gets Siakam an extra 10. TJ McConnell comes off the bench. He gets an extra 8. He facilitates, man. He gets everybody involved. Like I said early on, nobody in the Indiana offense stands still, because Tyrese is going to find you. You cut to the basket, you're going to get buckets.
Yeah, well, he's definitely not playing like an overrated player, that's for sure. The man may be underrated when it comes to some of the things that he provides for his team. So, Henry, thank you for pointing that out eloquently. Of course, Game 5 will be Monday night. You can watch it right here on ABC 10. Before we get out of here, Henry, do you have a prediction on who's going to win the series?
Ooh, I want to see it go 7. I mean, I really don't have a dog in the fight, but I'm loving the whole process of the playoffs this year. All of them has been exciting. But if I have to predict, OKC in 7.
Hey, we all win if it goes 7. We all win if it goes 7.
Basketball wins. The NBA wins. Adam Silver wins. We all win if it goes 7. Well, we're winners for having Henry in the studio with us. Thank you. He is more smoother than a velvet pillow.
That's right. Duck pillow. Goose pillow.
Oh, goose pillow. I don't know the difference. At any rate, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight, Henry. We really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Once again, he's Matt George. I am Kevin John. You can watch a full episode of Toyota Sports Extra this Sunday night, 11:35. In the meantime, do not go anywhere. Your news and weather is coming up in just 30 seconds. Stick around.